Good morning, and welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church, a congregation that finds truth and inspiration from many spiritual paths. And in community, we help each other practice justice, inclusion, and love. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your identity are welcome here. Special welcome to visitors. We're glad you're here. You can find events and contact information in your order of service. And to learn more about all that's happening, you can sign up for our weekly e-news through the office. Children are welcome in the sanctuary at any time. There's also nursery care for real young ones. And today, regular classes and activities start for children following the story. You can follow Amy out. Visitors are welcome as well. Everyone's invited to join us after service for coffee and donuts downstairs in the commons or out in the courtyard. If you're online, feel free to type hello in the chat or light a candle with us as we gather. And we invite you this fall to find ways to connect to smaller groups to get to know others here in the church. One way to nourish your soul through a group or a class, and one way at least to nourish others through volunteering with helping with children or on a cook team or Sunday welcoming. You can see the pamphlets at the side of the sanctuary or in the lobby or online, or you can ask any staff or leader of how to sign up, but we invite you to get connected this fall. Wednesday evenings, we've returned to having a supper and a forum, the Tupper Supper, as we're calling it, in honor of Eliza Tupper Wilkes. Supper is at 6 o'clock. RSVPs are requested right now as we ease back into that to know how to plan. And it's followed by a forum each week at 7 o'clock. This week, we have a special guest speaker, Matt Llewellyn-Otten, who is the religious organizer with Outfront Minnesota, advocating for LGBTQ justice. So you can join us in person or online on Zoom this Wednesday night. Supper at 6, forum at 7. All are welcome. Each month, our offering goes out the doors of our church to justice work beyond our congregation. For the month of September, our justice partner is UU the Vote, which is our national campaign during these midterms to help grassroots efforts protecting voting rights, reproductive rights, and more. You can give online or as the plates pass today. Thank you for your generosity. Special welcome and thank you to Lori Elward for providing music for us today. We're so glad you're here and sharing your gifts with us. Thank you. And finally, we're grateful that this coming Saturday, we've sold out our concert for Carrie Newcomer. If you missed tickets, though, don't worry. Surprise, she'll be playing for Sunday services next week as well, too. So if you did get tickets, you'll hear a whole different set of songs between the two, so you get the wider experience. But next Sunday, join us for beautiful music as well from Quaker singer-songwriter Carrie. Hymnals are available at the side. You'll probably want a gray hymnal today for the service. I invite you now to take a breath as we enter our worship this morning with these words from the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. As we rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, Love Will Guide Us, I invite you to give a quick wave to those online, quick wave to those around you, and hello and good morning. The music will call us back in just a moment. Please rise.
As we move gently into a changed and changing church life, these chalice-lighting words from the Reverend Gretchen Haley may serve to guide us today and in the weeks to come. We are here to do the work of hope, remembering the past, remembering ourselves, imagining our most possible future for this life that teeters too often on the edge of forgetting. We belong to each other. Bring all you are, every shadow, every light, every hope, every fear for this radiant hour. Come, let us hope for each other. Come, let us worship together.
So I invite those who are joining as new members to come forward this morning. When we welcome new members, it's a seemingly simple act of putting pen to paper, signing a name, and saying welcome. And yet, and still, something more powerful happens than it seems. It's a commitment of hearts to hearts, of joining in community, of reconsecrating our commitment to who we are as a community and what values we are called to. Naming and honoring these new souls among us in the larger family of all souls. So look at this church and up into the camera on the wall too, and know that these are your people. This church is a home for your soul, we hope, for all of us, and that together in forgiveness and grace, kindness and strength and resilience, we make a home here for all souls.
This morning, we are thrilled to welcome, and if you just want to give a wave, Jamie Binger-Kerr, Lauren Duke, Greg Gentry, Melanie Gentry, Sherry Mason, and Madeline Wimmer.
Yay. So I invite the congregation to join in the litany of welcome. It's in your order of service. It'll also be up here on the screen as we welcome them into this congregation. First, the congregation. We welcome you into this congregation and into the larger circle of Unitarian Universalism. We welcome your story, your identity, and the gifts that you bring. May you find here a home for your soul and new members.
We gladly join with you as members of this church. We will offer our gifts as we are able to the flourishing and well-being of this community and support the values of this congregation: hospitality, compassion, spiritual growth, and justice.
And all together, we covenant to travel together in this religious community. Here may we be affirmed for who we are and challenged to be our best selves. Here may we grow our souls, care for each other and the earth, nurture spiritual growth, practice justice, and together lead lives of meaning, service, and love. We welcome you into this congregation and into the larger circle of all souls. As the congregation sings a blessing to you, I'll invite you to sign this membership book, which holds the names of 150 years of members before you. And I invite you to notice the lines both before and those after your name, that you are part of a legacy and a lineage of many souls in this community. We'll sing hymn number 1 in your gray hymnal, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door, also known as Prayer for This House. The lyrics will be up here as you sign. welcome. May you be blessed as new souls among us, and I invite you to bid them welcome this morning. And Lori will sing for us.
Not smiling faces, but your masky faces. And all of you out there in the internet world. I can. My heart is an open heart. As best I can, I let myself be human. Try to lighten up life's load, whether tears or laughter flow, as best I can, oh, as best I can, as best I can. My home is an open home, like Abraham, where a stranger's always welcome. If they're hungry, then they eat. If they're lonely, they've got me, as best I can. Oh, as best I can. Trying to find out. I can only give what I've decided I'm about, as best I can. My world is a peaceful world, where all nations stand shoulder to shoulder. We are equals before God. We are neighbors, one and all, as best I can. Oh yeah, as best I can. We are children of one God. We are neighbors, one and all, as best I can. Oh, as best I can. As best I can. I will do the best I can.
I'd like to invite the children forward, or anybody else who cares to join me up here. See what's in my bag today. Our children are future members who, when they're 16, can make the decision to sign the book and become a member of this congregation. So this is our future right here. And we are all connected. Last week, we talked about, in my magic mug, some water, and how that water came from all over the world. So the water can come from anywhere. But I have a different mug today. Anybody want to guess what's in this mug? Coffee? Mm-mm. Well, there is some air in there. But what's in there? A donut. Aha. A donut hole. So when we talk about the seventh principle and we talk about the interconnected web of life, did you know we are all connected to this donut hole? What? That's craziness. Am I talking crazy? Yeah. Does anybody know what a donut is made out of? Bread. Yep, and bread is made out of wheat. So that's where I'm going with this. So it's made of wheat. And wheat comes from where? Does it come from the sky? No, it grows in the ground. It comes from farms. And we are all part of the ground too, in that our ancestors are part of the ground. When the wind blows and the dirt flies all over the place, we could have dirt from all over the world here in this donut hole. What's another way that we could be connected to this donut hole? If we were to eat it, because then what happens? You digest it, it goes in your belly. I would say it gives us lots of energy and nutrients, but that's not entirely true. But they sure taste delicious. When do you put donuts in a mug? When you're trying to hide them and be really quick. So I also have this. So some of you may know that this was my first couple months of the pandemic, when we all had to stay home all the time. These are little scraps of yarn from people I know, not yarn, fabric, from people I know who would drop them off on my front doorstep in a bag because they were too little to use to make anything. So by twisting this together, I made this yarn. And it serves no real purpose other than to remind me how we are all connected. How during a time when we couldn't be together, people were bringing me fabric. So here, Devin. So Devin and I are connected. Who's someone you're connected to here? Kaylin, because she's your... Okay, so now hold part of the... Yep, and then throw her the ball. Well, a nice brotherly, gentle throw there. Kaylin, is there anybody in this circle you're connected to? I think Harriet wants the ball, and I think that's okay because Kaylin helped us light the chalice this morning. So technically, Kaylin is connected to all of us because she lit our chalice today. Harriet, who are you connected to? Anyone? Do you know Harry? Okay, so Harriet and Harry know each other. Harry, do you know anybody else in the circle? You don't remember anybody else? We spend a lot of time hanging out together. So Clara, who do you know? Louisa, who do you know? Isabel, how do you know Isabel? Or Sydney. Isabel, Sydney's sister. How do you know Sydney? Was Sydney at camp with us this summer? Yep. And Sydney, you want to pass that back to me? Well, here, take a little bit of it for yourself. There we go. And we are all connected. Whoa. And I could keep going on and on with how we're all connected. And what should I do with this circle if I wanted to include everybody in here? I could make it into a big circle and we could wrap it all around, because I think we'd run out if we had to hand it to every single person, right? But we can always draw the circle bigger and bigger, and we could make a spider web, because we're going to try and just show how we are connected to everybody, from the smallest piece of dirt that helped make this donut hole, that gives us strength and calories when we eat it, right? Energy. So we can show how we are connected to each other with just a ball of fabric that is connected to a number of people in here who gave me fabric for it. So think about how we're all connected and how one little speck of something can grow into something bigger, different, but bigger. So Austin will play the children's benediction, and we will head out and downstairs. Ready?
Last Sunday, Reverend Luke posed a fundamental question, important for each of us and as a congregation, and especially important this morning with Amy's story. He asked, how are we making a wide arrival? Enough space for all our grief, our stories, our uncertainties, how to find passageways of life in this changed and changing world. Admittedly, in the Hutton household, and I'm sure in your house too, in these nearly but not quite post-COVID days, some tasks are easier to navigate than others. Some days we find ourselves nearly back to a routine that feels comfortable, like a well-worn flannel shirt on a cool September morning, or coming to church. But then we arrive in this sacred space and see smiling, masked faces, and we admit it is the same but different. In the midst of these ambiguous days, Richard and I decided we would add more uncertainty into our daily life. Since July, our house has been in some various form of disarray due to 3 renovation projects. And just to be clear, all the work was undertaken by choice and not by a recent crisis like a tree falling on the building. Our house is nearly 100 years old. It was built in 1925 and moved in 1927. So all of the work is being done so that we might continue to age gracefully in place. As Reverend Luke spoke about drifting on the water, anchored but with a shifting shoreline, I felt he had lived through the construction days at our house. Carpenters arriving on a date set 2 months earlier, anchored. Getting a call late Friday that the team of painters and plasterers would arrive early next week definitely felt like bobbing on choppy water as we scrambled to move all the furniture from 4 rooms, take our eclectic collection of art off the walls, and remove all the electric faceplates. And with most but not all of the work complete, I arrived at church for our annual water communion and felt anchored once again as we poured our collected water tributes into the large blue bowl and music rang joyfully. And anchored again this morning, seeing familiar faces, and welcoming new members. May it be so.
I mentioned earlier, this is my home church away from home. I live outside of Phoenix and Tempe. I want to thank you for this great, really cold winter weather that you've given me right now. And I'm very pleased that my family is here today. My son-in-law, Nathan, my grandchildren, Sebastian, Savannah, and London Bella, and my daughter, Autumn. They make home for me. When I come here, their home is my home as much as it is in Arizona. And I just have this song that I'd like to sing about home. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home, I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. Wind that makes the tall trees bend into leaning. Suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning, sprinkling the scene, makes it all clean. Maybe there's a chance for me to go back now that I found some direction. It would be nice to be back home where there's love and affection. Then just maybe I could convince time to slow up, giving me enough time in my life to grow up. Time be my friend, let me start again. Suddenly my world's gone and lost its face, but I know where I'm going. I have had my mind spun around in space, yet I've watched it growing. Oh, if you're listening, please don't make it hard to know if we should believe in the things that we see. Tell us, should we run away or should we try to stay? Or would it be better just to let things be? Living here in this bright world might be a fantasy, but it taught me to love. So it's real to me, and I've learned we must look inside our hearts to find a world full of love, like yours, like mine, like home.
Thank you, Lori. We are grateful for the flowers today given by Melissa and Eric Egler in honor of their wedding anniversary, which is why Melissa didn't really want to announce that as part of the Embracing Meditation. So congratulations and best wishes of many years of love for you. I invite you to take a deep breath and breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth, its ancient turning, and above you the sky, and beyond that the stars shining with ancient light, holding you in this moment, this place, this breath, here, now. Know that in this house you are named and known as sacred, beloved, welcome. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life, source of love, God of many names and beyond all naming, gather us in this day. Help us notice the presence of the sacred in the common, the simple things in our life, those things that can anchor us. The gracious arc of the sky or the comforting meal or drink, the moments of laughter or ridiculousness or play, the invitation of art and music to listen to the rhythms of love and beauty, so that we too might find our own rhythms of joy and sorrow and love. We are grateful this day for all the ways this community holds each other in the care offered by volunteers and friends, in the welcome to newcomers, in the kindness of sacred squirminess of children or adults, how we know that each day, each moment, we are carrying each something in our heart, a joy, a grief, coming from many paths to this shared space to be held in love. We hold this day in our hearts Daryl Waters and his partner Tim. Daryl has been ill for some time and is entering stages of hospice care. We send them our love to be surrounded by our embrace in these tender days. We hold all those in our hearts who are suffering in mind, body, or spirit, and I invite you to bring the names you're holding in your own heart this day in joy or sorrow, celebration or concern, and silently or aloud now in this time and space to speak their names. For all those names spoken, unspoken, may we all be held in love and grace. These words of meditation come from Linda Paston. A flurry of leaves at the window, like those calendar pages flying in old movies to indicate time passing, and it is passing. Though where it's going, nobody seems to know. Something is always lost and something found, an earring or the key to a certain door, to some second self. I watch as energy and matter bow and switch places, as last year's leaves appear and disappear again. May it be so, and amen.
Once the World Was Perfect by Joy Harjoy. Once the world was perfect and we were happy in that world. Then we took it for granted discontent began a small rumble in the earthly mind. Then doubt pushed through with its spiked head. And once doubt ruptured the web, all manner of demon thoughts jumped through. We destroyed the world we had been given for inspiration, for life. Each stone of jealousy, each stone of fear, greed, envy, and hatred put out the light. No one was without a stone in his or her hand. There we were, right back where we started. We were bumping into each other in the dark. And now we had no place to live, since we didn't know how to live with each other. Then one of the stumbling ones took pity on another and shared a blanket. A spark of kindness made a light. The light made an opening in the darkness. Everyone worked together to make a ladder. A Wind Clan person climbed out first into the next world, then the other clans, the children of those clans, their children, and their children, all the way through time to now, into this morning light to you. And Rereading Frost by Linda Pastan. Sometimes I think the best poems have already been written, and no one has time to read them, so why try to write more? At other times, though, I remember how one flower in a meadow already full of flowers somehow adds to the general firework effect as you get to the top of a hill in Colorado, say in high summer, and just look down on the brimming color. I also try to convince myself that the smallest note of the smallest instrument in the band, the triangle, for instance, is important to the conductor, who stands there pointing his finger in the direction of the percussions, demanding one silvery ping. And I decide to stop trying, at least not for a while, though in truth, I'd rather just sit here reading how someone else has been acquainted with the night already and perfectly.
The first song I sang both by a wonderful singer-songwriter, Daniel Nahmad, and this song says everything about what my spirituality is, and when I first heard it about 10 years ago, I just went, finally, a song that says what I believe. So, One Power. One power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth, as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Angels' wings or heaven's door, but whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in our hearts we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or Heaven's Door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time, but whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power, one power, one power. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon, for it's love that's most deep. It's one power, oh, one power. What we are is one power, oh, it's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Lori. Could be worse. The words came to my mind that had been spoken probably 1,000,000 times by people around me growing up. A good perspective to stay humble, make things work, a prairie pragmatism to want not, waste not, use what you have, want what you have, be grateful for what is, rather than covetous about what could be or what you don't have. Could be worse, I said, about something that had broken or was leaking, was making a mess or causing disruption. Yeah, but could be better, said the small voice next to me. What? I thought. Who could say or think such a thing? But they were right, and I was too. It could be worse, and it could have been better. And maybe that's where we enter the poem from today, somewhere between could be worse and could be better. Here we are, stuck in the middle with you, finding our way. As Joy Harjo writes, once the world was perfect. We were happy in that world. We took it for granted. Each stone of jealousy, each stone of fear, greed, envy, hatred put out the light. No one was without a stone. And there we were, right back where we started, bumping into each other in the dark. We didn't know how to live with each other. But then this movement happens there. That one of the stumbling ones took pity on another and shared a blanket. The spark of kindness made a light passing down through clans and children and generations to this morning light to you. Could be better, said the child, inviting me to step toward a new, better world. We are in a new world. Better is quite debatable every day. Each day, of course, is something that's never happened before. This morning, this breath, this moment we're in, brand new, ancient, all at the same time. And all the newness, all the change, it's exhausting, is it not? It's hard to know how to live together, as the poet writes, how to listen to one another with grace and humility instead of bullheaded certainty. It's hard to know how to move our way from what we have known to make ends meet, to make do toward what we don't yet know. But the fact is, each day there are many things we simply don't know. What events will unfold? What emotions will come out sideways from ourselves or others? We don't know all the details all the time. We don't know sometimes when our thoughts or feelings will bubble up, and then all of a sudden, because of something someone said or something you hear or see or feel, some reaction comes up inside, some feeling or response, and it's as if you say, where did that come from? I don't know. Didn't know that I felt that way, or that I would react that way, or I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know how wonderful squirming children back in the sanctuary are. What a gift. And perhaps the most important question, the question asked all the time by ethics and morality and just being a good person, is how to notice and give space for our own feelings, how to attend to the feelings of others and the uncertainty that's all around it, and how do we, in love and care and truth, share honestly, share thoughtfully? How do we respond to ourselves and to those around us when something unexpected happens? With gratitude.
That's my granddaughter.
Hallelujah. Long ago, a mentor and a colleague of mine said of both preaching and ministry, but also life in general, that it's all about speaking the truth in love. That's it. To speak the truth in love, and to live the truth as you know it in love. I reflect on that phrase often, and I discern things in my life, such as you do too, I'm sure. Here at church or with family or friends, how am I speaking, living the truth in love? How am I discerning what I need to say and maybe what I don't? When to speak and act and when to not, and give space for others, when to listen, when to interrupt. How to sit with tension and discomfort without destroying my own soul. And it seems, unless you all can tell me otherwise, there's no clear-cut, easy, foolproof answers to any of those. And that's what makes life sometimes hard, exhausting, challenging, and interesting, at the least, and maybe holds potential if we're open. Now, I have a confession to make. Don't tell anybody, but there have been times in this last year and more of regathering in new ways, both in church and just the world in general, where I've thought, those early quiet days of the pandemic, sequestered in my home, having stocked up to blizzard-level preparations of food in my freezer, not having to or really being allowed to go out of the house, out and about, be out in the world. And that thought has crept back in now and then, either on an early Sunday morning or a cold Wednesday night, about all those things in the world, church and elsewhere, that's made me think, I don't need to go. I don't need to be there. I don't need to show up, or I don't need to participate. I don't need to engage. Others will. And then sometimes I come across a reminder that each of us is expected as part of any community, an approach to life that is about growing the soul or serving the world. This reminder from the poet has come to me and reminded me of things I think I probably know somewhere inside. She writes, "At other times, though, I remember how one flower in a meadow already full of flowers somehow adds to the general fireworks effect. I convince myself that the smallest note of the smallest instrument, the triangle, for instance, is important, demanding that one silvery ping." Sometimes we need that one silvery ping of our presence. That seemingly small presence, your presence and the people next to you, the people engaging in the online chat or saying hi through the Zoom room, that engagement in person or other ways of connection matters. Here at church, I have to remember that too. And I know, I'm paid, I'm expected to be here, but I'm also nourished by the choice of heart to be here, by being here with you in community. And so it is with each of us. Our presence in body and spirit to each other matters. Because in community, I'm encouraged, expected even, to grow my soul and to listen and pay attention hard to one another, and to listen to the meaning beneath the words or the emotions that I encounter in shared space, to speak the truth in love as well as to listen and receive truth in love. We live in this multi-platform world now, which both blesses and complicates all of these discernments. So to be clear, our commitment to access online for a variety of needs, a diversity of experiences related to mobility, health and risk, illness, travel, anxiety, mental health, that's an ethical imperative. It's about creating belonging in wider and wider ways. And we'll never go back, nor should we, to a church that doesn't have online options for Sunday services or groups or forums. That's a commitment to connection we've made. I also know from my own experience in church and other places, I know the sermon is probably a little more interesting if it's over French toast and coffee from the couch at home. That's fair. We don't have brunch here in the sanctuary, but we do have donut holes, and they're sacred. Amy told us that earlier. But church is a participatory thing. And sometimes I can fall into this world of options of accessibility, questioning what I should show up for, what I should not, what should I engage with or not in this multi-platform world, whether it's church or campaigns or important conversations with neighbors. In this multi-platform world, I can fall into a practice of convenience, that I don't need to be there. It's cold, it's late, it's early, whatever. But our presence, physical and in spirit online, are showing up, our presence to each other. I've come to believe over and over might just matter as much or more to the people around us than just us. Think about that for a second. We live in a culture that so often prioritizes the individual. It's about what we get out of things and convenience, what's easy to do. And church and communities like it, we're not the only game in this, have always been a radical alternative to efficiency and productivity. We value the community just as much and more than the individual. We value connections, deep connections, more than convenience. We value what is sometimes called by some of my colleagues warm nuance over hot takes, right? We value time spent together in the long haul of relationship and transformation to nourish our souls, asking questions that there are no easy nor single answers to, dwelling in mystery and questions and doubts and wrestling with our understanding of faith and God and justice. We value being together, learning together, growing together, the focus on together. But our presence is just about how it just might unexpectedly, without clarity, just by chance, nourish someone we bump into, that we chat with, that we otherwise wouldn't have been in community with a conversation, with a smile, with a nod that says, you belong here, and we belong together. It's an old school thing, or an old churchy thing, to engage in practices that are not just self-help, but helping us all to think beyond individual preference toward community. Because if we are kindred and we are all beloved, and if we think each member and friend of this church really belongs, of our communities or neighborhoods really belong, then we make our decisions by that value. It's a little about the future of our building, too, and these conversations that just reignited this past Wednesday night. Many of you were there. Some of you can still view it online. An important conversation this fall. And if you haven't been part of it or haven't been tracking, there are 6 more forums planned before some January vote, so we want everybody caught up and engaged in these conversations. And it's about carrying on conversations that our ancestors before us had. Probably not multi-platform or recorded or on Zoom, but certainly with minutes, I'm sure. And certainly just as wide a variety of opinion and beliefs and dreams and hopes. Our congregation downtown at our 3 previous buildings had hard decisions to make about change, paying attention to changing needs without ever losing their love or appreciation of the places that nourish them. And also, at the same time, never forgetting their responsibility, their obligation to think beyond themselves and that time alone. It was because they thought beyond themselves that they built this place for us now that has held us in faith and love. And it's our turn to engage in a conversation about how to speak to the generations beyond us so that they know we love them enough to help ensure a place where they would belong. Just live with it, is the old phrase. Could be worse. The one maybe you've heard or spoken in your own life. But there's a difference between just living with something to endure it or maintain something not working, which has been said about social structures and identities for millennia. That's just the way it is. There's a difference between that and truly living with, alongside one another, listening and speaking to the truth in love, continuing to be engaged with the world, with each other, with our emotions and our gifts and our challenges, living with uncertainty and mystery and care and love and hope and dreams, knowing that we can't know the future, but we can love toward it. Could be worse. Yep. Could be better. Yes. How true that is about most everything in life and this world. It's the old universalist idea about heaven on earth, that life is not perfect, but there are moments, glimpses that feel like heaven, where all belong in our fullest humanity. And we're called to lean into those moments and help make more of them for more and more people. So maybe that's what belonging is, this month's theme. Leaning toward each other. Knowing it could be worse, it could be better, and finding our way, most importantly, in truth and love together. As the young voice, hand in hand with mine, reminded me it could be better as we walked through the dark hall, reminding me it is always best to find our way through the dark and the mess, fumbling our way together. The hymn is We Would Be One. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing. invite you, as you're comfortable, to offer your hands in gratitude to the earth or the sky or over your heart, or hold them close. And breathe deep the breath of life. Go yonder, and gather the people. Give them not hell, but courage and hope. Give them something of the love you have found here, and tell all the people that love is our home. Amen.